Morning, Leo. So, new location. The weather has turned. Oh, 4 cards. I need to dive straight in. Stop talking. Okay, a card for your interior. The interior of Leo. And also seagull people. I'm seeing one go straight over the top of us right now. The 7 of Cups. I've been talking about this a lot recently. And how that makes you act in the outside. How that makes you act in the outside. How the 7 of Cups makes you act in the outside. Queen of Pentacles. And a card for your interior. Sorry, a card for the basis of the situation. It's a lovely morning here today. The root of the situation. Card for the root of the situation, the basis of the situation. I think it's this one, but also these two came out. So 8 of Pentacles, the 2 of Pentacles, and the 10 of Wands. And something from the recent past. Something from the recent past. Something from the recent past. Oh, that flipped in an interesting way. 3 of Swords. Let's put those back there. Sorry, I'm moving them all around with my big sleeves. And a potential outcome. A potential outcome for Leo and seagull people. There's one going through the shot in the background. Potential outcome for Leo and the seagull people. Queen of Cups. 2 queens. And something for the near future. We've got the the Page of Wands, the 7 of Pentacles, and the Fool. Nice. Okay. Those over. Then, your attitude, Leo and seagull people, your attitude, your attitude, your attitude, your attitude. That one. 8 of Cups. And your environment, your environment, your environment, your environment. What is your environment? Why is the environment hidden? Can we have the environment? The Knight of Swords. Your hopes and fears. 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 The 5 of Cups, the Magician, and the Empress. It's just funny, I was thinking, oh, they haven't got any majors. Then those two turn up. Funny. And the outcome. Oh, you had a major anyway, you had the Fool. And an outcome. An outcome. An outcome, please. There we go. The Knight of Cups, lovely. Right, let's just dive straight in. So 3 majors, a mixture of all the suits, I would say, pretty evenly. Maybe the cups, no, pretty evenly. What's that little one in there? Quite a lot of pentacles. Pentacles, and it feels like it might be about work, this reading, because you're juggling something that's quite a burden with these 10 wands, and you're working really hard. So I feel like that's the basis of the reading, and so I'm going to dive in on that basis, but let's have a look. So, interior, 7 of Cups. As I said, I've been talking a lot about this at the moment. 7 of Cups traditionally means a person, the shadowy figure. See, what's that on his shoulder? It's interesting. Do you see those marks on his shoulder? They're like claw marks. What is that? So a shadowy figure standing in front of these 7 cups that all represent an aspiration that he could have. And he is dumbfounded as to which one to go for. They're actually very close to him today, is what I'm saying. They're really close. They're within reach, actually. The sort of implication is that they're beyond his grasp, but they're very within reach. But they've all turned slightly sort of off because he hasn't reached. And so they're sort of taunting him. That dragon is looking at him, and there's a skull on one of the cups here. They sort of feel like they're teasing him, going, go on, take one, take one, take one. And recently this card turns up for me as a card to say, which isn't the traditional reading of it, but are any of these actually worth it as aspirations anyway? Vanity, great riches, gaudy riches, the golden wreath of success, sort of pride, the dragon, some sort of power, the tower. I mean, it is actually, we hope, built on strong foundations, but maybe not. You know, all of these strange aspirations. So that's you. I feel like you're confused and you're not sure what move to take next. And you have lots of options in front of you, and none of them are really appealing. And so it makes you feel as if these ideas are kind of crowding in on you, because that's how I'm seeing them. And that you've got this claw on your shoulder, like you're being held in place, or there's the sense of something that's not right has grabbed hold of your shoulder and kept you there somehow. And the way that's making you act in the outside is, I think you're retreating to home. It's interesting. I mean, I feel that quite firmly, that you just want to sort of focus on your home, because the Queen of Pentacles is the Queen of Hearth and Home. What am I seeing here? A pear behind her carved into her stone seat, and she's looking so lovingly at the pentacle and the garden and the rabbits, the pets. She doesn't want to be anywhere else. So I sort of feel like you are just concentrating on what works well for you at the moment, and that is your home environment and the sort of bountiful. It's funny, partridge in a pear tree came up the other day, because we had partridge recently, and pear tree. Pears are those fruits that they sort of taste awful, and then they're just perfect. So I feel like you've got to the sweet spot at home somehow. It's just how you love it. And everything's very harmonious, and it's a nicer place to be than contemplating these aspirations that don't really float your boat. And then we've got that rabbit, fertility, pets, Watership Down. Does anyone know that book? Which is about a sort of rabbit community, and it's sort of, in their underground burrows. And the whole thing was, it was kind of extraordinary when it came out in the 80s, because it was giving these rabbits a kind of personality, a bit like an Animal Farm or something. They were like people, but they had this complex world in the underground, and it was quite sexy and sort of strange, and there was fighting and all sorts of things going on. But I feel like you're seeing your home as like this kind of secret burrow full of this wonderful meaning that nobody else, you're trying to keep it apart from people. Strange. I don't normally get such a strong hit with that, but that's what I'm seeing. So my hair's wet, so my glasses, can you see? In the basis of the situation, we've got the 8 of Pentacles, somebody working very hard on their skill. The 2 of Pentacles, somebody juggling lots of sort of different roles or realities. And the 10 of Wands, somebody feeling very overworked. Now, all 3 of these cards are stage cards. you can see it clearly in these two, double line, and then peeking out from the side of the bench, double line. Stage cards are, there's some debate as to what Pamela Coleman Smith meant when she drew them, when she illustrated this, but she was a set designer, and so to be at a stage, maybe that's another meaning of it. I'm noodling on it at the moment. Every time I've looked it up once and I didn't like the definition. So it's to be at a stage. That's how it's turning up for me today. You're just at a stage where things are hard and you're having to juggle a lot and it feels like quite a burden, but you are working on an amazing skill nonetheless. But it's just a stage, and the fact that it's a stage implies that there will be a scene change at some point. That this is almost like an illusion. It's a play. You don't need to... it's just a stage. It's a fabrication of some kind, is the way I'm seeing it at the moment. So, in the recent past, absence, delay, and separation. Now, it might be with work, or you might have felt absent from your lovely home, I don't know. But there's a sense of being apart from something that you really love, taken from something you really love being delayed, which would be frustrating. Maybe it's knowing what part of the project to go to next. Ooh. There's a coach downstairs. I don't know if you can hear it, but that's interesting. A coach going off on a tour. A delay to a tour? Could it be that? Was there something that you're meant to be starting? Are you a touring artist of some sort? Are you trying to take your product or your to Europe? Because that's what the coach is saying. Euro welcome. So where's that one going? There's been a delay to that. Let's see if this pans out for you. And in the potential outcome, the Queen of Cups. So it feels like you do alight on what you absolutely love. She is the Queen of our hearts. She's very comfortable in the feeling realm. And she's now got like one of those cups which had all those sort of horrible images in them. But this one has got a lid on it and claws. So it's almost, I don't know what those claw things are meant to be, but it's almost like you've caught one of the things that and now you know what it is and you're going to defend it, is what I feel. And it's going to be something that makes you feel very emotional. Does that look like any of the cups? I mean, it's a Grail cup, isn't it? It doesn't really look like any of them. It's a much finer thing. So it's not one of those things. You've come up with your own thing that is really meaningful for you. And I'm seeing her crown with these flowers on the top and the little ties on her tunic there. Do you see? Now they remind me always of these ties here. Do you see the ties at the back of his apron, and then she's got the ties on the side of her sleeve. So that was the thing that you were working on so hard in the basis of the situation. So I think that the thing that you are really, really good at, where you might describe yourself to be an artisan, and that doesn't mean having to make something. It could be just what your expertise is and what grabs your attention and what you spend a lot of time thinking about. This is the thing that you're going to focus on properly in the future. She almost looks barefoot to me today, and those lovely coloured stones at her feet. And the swirling sea, and a seagull probably in the background. So, something you feel very emotional about, and because of that those ties, I think something that you're very good at. I'm going to keep those off my wet head at the moment so that I don't steam them up. And then something that's coming up in the near future, the Fool, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Page of Wands. Something new catches your eye, and I think it might be related. The 7 comes before the 8 of Wands, but the 7 is a slightly kind of frustration when you're working on and on and on at something, and you feel it's never going to come to fruition. So it's something new in your work, a new project that has got a lovely fresh energy, but is also going to require quite a lot of work in the long haul for you to bring it to fruition. What's jumping into my eyes today? How kind of calm the Fool looks. He looks sort of almost meditative and very wise, really. The rake that the 7 of Pentacles holds, and the little bits on the bottom of the wands, the Page of Wands boots, and he's got the same coloured boots as the Fool. So it's a sort of something that really excites you, this new start. The Page of Wands is a lovely fresh energy, and it's messages, and it's, in this case, messages about something that later on we see those pyramids turning up in the King of Wands, I think it is. Or it's the King of Wands or the Knight of Wands. There's something kind of exciting about the idea of pyramid structures. It's like, how were the pyramids made? Why were the pyramids made? Their endurance over through the years. Their sense of alignment to the stars. I think it's something really exciting. And the fact that the Fool's looking up like that, it might well be that your job or what you're interested in has either been sparked by some sort of solar alignment, sort of celestial alignment, or it's to do with something up in the sky. But you're having to work hard on it in the near future. But that's okay, because you've got this lovely fresh energy taking you through. And your attitude. You are walking away from these 8 cups and the 8 of cups to find a new way of doing things. So that's indicated by this new start that we see. And it's probably indicated by the fact that there's been some sort of delay and that you feel like you've been juggling too much. So you need to sort of hone your skills and your knowledge and what you absolutely love to get to that Queen of Cups. And not confuse things like in the 7 of Cups, trying to go for different parts of these projects. We now see that you've really alighted on something, some way of doing it, some way of transforming these cups. That you're going to... It's almost like, so we saw those 7 cups up in the sky that you weren't quite sure any of those were right, and now you're walking away from 8 cups. So there's a real sense of nothing the way it has been before has actually worked for you. It's not been right, but there's an inner knowing that you can find what will work, or a way of using what you've got in front of you in a way that will work. It feels like that. It feels like you've got some sort of... You've had some sort of... through the Fool and the Page of Wands, you've had some sort of really amazing initiatory new start in your sense of excitement and passion, and now you're going to go after that. And so you're leaving everything else standing behind you. And your environment, it was funny, do you remember I said it? Why is it hiding from us? I think perhaps because you don't quite know where you stand and where you should be, and maybe you are leaving a previous job. That's funny, that's someone I know walking his dog really early. He's a really wonderful therapist who I feel very warm about. He's lovely. Normally you meet him in the park. So that's interesting, because a therapist helps you find your way. And I said, why did we not know where your environment was? And I feel like you might have just walked away from some sort of work situation. You might have sort of thrown it all up, and now you're dashing somewhere new. You're having a go at going somewhere new, because that's what we say about the Knight of Swords. he has a really fast and furious energy. He's got seagulls again in the sky, 4 of them above his red feather, and he's just going to try and find this new place. He's going to try and find a new way of, if you've not left work, you're trying to change it with that 8 of Wands, trying to change the way you work. Maybe you're going for a different role. That's interesting. And then your hopes and fears. We've got the 5 of Cups, the Magician and the Empress. And it's so lovely to see those with the 5 of Cups, because it tells me you are going to turn round. So you're looking disappointedly at 3 Cups, at something that wasn't working. You know, we can see there's been juggling, there's been confusion, a sense of burden in some sort of work space or something that you're making. And now we see you firmly pivoting round to those 2 Cups. And what are those 2 Cups? They're the Magician and the Empress. I mean, they're so amazing that this is going to take you so far, because the Magician has everything he needs on his table. He's got a pentacle, a sword, a cup and a wand. It's on his firm, 4-legged, steady table. He's got his infinity symbol at his head, his snake belt, his wand held aloft, his hand sort of half disappearing into white, into the possibilities of what he's going to create, as above, so below. He's absolutely in command. But it's lovely to see him with the Empress, who's most like the Queen of Cups, interestingly. So your heart guides your will and your ability to manifest, is what I want to say. And it's a really lovely new focus. She has pomegranates all over her dress. So fertile, so rich, so full of nutrients and juice and millions of different possibilities. And that waterfall, it's reminding me of a friend of mine who's just been white water rafting in Zambezi, I think, on the Zambezi River. Would that be right? White water rafting. Anyway, and talking about going down those incredible rapids. And I said, gosh, that's the bit that would scare me about being in Africa. Not the animals, not being in safari, which I would absolutely love and one day I must do. But it's that feeling of dropping off those precipices and not knowing if you're going to fall out of the boat. So I don't know, but you're not going to fall out of the boat with this Empress here. You're well held in a very nurturing, beautiful environment, and a very creative one, because she creates through her love and her sort of her attention to those around her and her connection to the seasons. She represents nature and bounty. And then the Magician, his will is so strong. So put those two together and you're pretty unstoppable. So this is your hopes and fears. You don't want to keep looking at what you've lost. And I think that's totally true. And you want to pivot to these 2 incredible creative forces that you have inside you. How amazing. And where it's all going. Knight of Cups. So more cups, more love. And this time, a slightly less mature energy. But I think you're going to offer the world what it is that really comes from your Queen of Cups place, from your Empress place. And so you might be feeling a little bit about it, because it's so fragile and new, and there's something sort of really tender about it, and something quite romantic about your attitude to it. What's standing out? His Hermes wings on the back of his feet and his helmet. Messages of love. I mean, messages are usually the pages, but I feel like something is being brought by you, held aloft so carefully. And it's the cup that in the Page of Cups that has a fish on it. And here we see the fish on your tunics. So you've sort of, in the Page of Cups, you've sort of fallen in love with an idea. That's funny. Look at what I've got here. Sorry, you know how it's funny when you start focusing on something. So in the Page of Cups, you focused on that idea and you found it so beguiling, and you wanted to tell people about it, and it was amazing. And here you've sort of metabolized the idea. The fish has become part of you in a way, and now you want to offer it. So that's a really lovely conclusion. We're going to cap this with, I've done well, we've gone quicker. Italy obviously slows me down, makes me much more verbose. Here we're getting a bit chippity-choppity. So we're just from the Enchanted Forest. Let's see if they've got anything, this deck has got anything it wants us to focus on, or anything it wants us to add to this work quest. The Magician again. So this is, they call this one the Enchanter. He's lovely. Look at the way he's got, it's wanting you to focus on your ability to create. So though we've ended on a sort of slightly naive, youthful-ish energy of the knight, it's not a king or a queen, these cards are saying you have it within you to create this. So let me read from the book. Wants you to really believe in what you're doing. The Enchanter, meaning at a glance: magic, wisdom, force of will and intention, ability to influence and help, power at your command. That's what it wants to connect you to. The Enchanter observes everything that happens in the forest, and then he influences it, manipulates it, meddles and brings elements together to create situations he deems beneficial. He sets things in motion. He can converse with every bird, beast, gnome, ogre, sylph and elf. The Enchanter takes a special interest in humans passing through the forest, whatever their purpose. You may ask him for magical help if you get in trouble. Be aware, though, that he may not choose to give you the kind of help you hoped for or expected. He has been known to stir things up for those who try to take the safest route. So don't try and take the safest route. The Enchanter is far-seeing when it comes to adventures that happen in the forest, and what seems inexplicable and troublesome to you may be part of a larger design that only he can see. Still, you can always learn from him, especially when it comes to using your own powers to their fullest. I'm seeing the sort of age spots around here, around his eyes. That's really strange. What a strange thing to focus on. And these two trees and this infinitive symbol and the key and some pomegranate seeds or berries below. So it's trying to put you in touch with your will and saying don't be put off if things don't work out the way you exactly expected them to initially, because there's a sort of larger design at play. So that's interesting. And let's go on to the Rachel Pollock Shining Tribe cards. I love this deck. So one set of cards I cap with are quite whimsical and sweet, and these are much denser and related to sort of more ancient ideas and cultures. So have you got anything, card deck, that you'd like to add to this reading? The 8 of Stones. Let me show you that. So a winged horse, sort of really reminding me of the Knight of Cups in a way. The 8 of Stones. So the 8 of Stones is the 8 of Pentacles, so that's what it's trying to bring your attention back in the root, that you have this incredible, so one card is saying you have this incredible will and determination and ability to create, but go with the bigger picture, don't get put off. And the other is saying we want to remind you of your skills that you have at your root base, the 8 of Stones. So contradictions, even more the inspiration and excitement we draw from contradictions and paradoxes, accomplishments in work or business, hard work with powerful results, liberation through fresh ideas. So it's saying, yeah, you are amazing, hard work, but redo it in a fresh way. The roar of wings, the ice chains shattered in the laugh of the horse. The unusual statue in this picture comes from a stone carving found in southern Europe. In the card, a horse stands on a fence of 7 stones, bringing the number with the horse himself to 8. Above the horse, we see broken chains around the sun, as if the light has been imprisoned and now has broken free or been liberated through the power of the magical horse. The idea of a flying horse expresses the human love of paradox and the power of the imagination to envisage creatures impossible to find in nature. This ability to imagine things that do not exist is a powerful force in human life. It helps us find solutions to problems and change long-standing situations. Humans have long loved fantasy creatures. The term monster originally didn't mean horrible creature, but simply a hybrid animal such as a sphinx or a centaur or a flying horse. Many theories exist to the origins of such ideas. Some say early Greeks saw men on horseback and assumed that they were one creature. Others suggest that hybrids imply a mixture of cultures and mythologies. In other words, a tribe that worships the forceful strength of the horse encountered a culture that cared more for the grace and the high-flying journeys of birds. A simpler explanation might be the desire to fly, joined with the fact that humans had domesticated horses and could ride on their backs. How wonderful it would be if the horses we rode had wings and could carry us into the clouds. Whatever the origin of these images, they have survived in art and literature because they express something powerful in the human spirit, the transcendence of contradictions through the special power we call imagination, a word that means the creation of images. Much of our civilization and our spiritual sense has arisen out of the flying horse of creativity. The very idea of a flying horse is a paradox. It becomes more so when we think of the horse as made of stone and the very body of the earth. The mind can think of something impossible and then give it a reality in art. Through the unity of imagination and work, we take a material substance, stone, and transform it into something still material, for the horse does not vanish, yet also imaginal, that is, of the imagination. The flying horse does not represent ideas alone, but also achievement. The unknown artist has brought an idea to life in the form of a statue. The 8 of Stones is a card of hard work inspired by vision. Yeah, we see that with the Page of Wands and the Fool. You are inspired by something, and you're going to go for it. What was in between those two? And work hard on it. Because the imagination and the embrace of paradox can liberate us from our current situation or the chains of the past, we see chains that have snapped around the sun. The chains that hold us may be invisible, for they may have begun in childhood and grown along with us until they just seem part of reality. When we begin to envisage other possibilities for our lives, or even the culture around us, we begin the work of breaking the chains. I love that. I love that for you. That's so amazing. So you really are using these incredible powers to see something that could go as far-reaching as being for everybody, and it feels like your artistry is your route to this. So one more card, and this is from the Lucrative Tarot. They've got lovely images, and what have they got to say to us? The 6 of Coins. That's a wonderful encouragement to say you're going to get money from this. It's going to be really lucrative, and it's going to be full of reciprocity and fairness. It's a really balanced, lovely, that balancing of the 2 of Pentacles is now giving way into wealth being shared. What am I saying? The gates of the park, reminding me of Kensington Gardens for some reason or other. And there's a man begging, but he's got music, and the little girl is giving to him. So it's like the inspired part of you, the young part of you, is going to pay the older, sort of beleaguered part of you in a way, or there's something about that inspiration that's really that's where the coins come from. Follow that. The Lord of Material Success, Moon in Taurus. Charity, generosity, gratitude, giving and taking. In an act of kindness and charity, a young girl, in gratitude for the melodies from his music box, puts a coin in an older man's hat. He accepts the gesture gladly. The 6 of Coins is about giving and receiving and the balance between them. It speaks of altruism and wanting to help others without compensation. This is the magic of this card. It turns one's generosity into success. The secret to embodying the Lord of material success. It's a card of charity, paying back or forward a debt, remembering with gratitude the gifts and assistance we received in the past. How can you give back now? It doesn't have to be in the exact form of what you received. It does not have to be in the exact form that you received it. What's important is there is an exchange of energy and that it is benevolent and generous. So that's a really important point. Don't go after the money. Go after what you want to give generously of yourself, what you're inspired to give generously of yourself, which is so what we see in that Knight of Cups. That's what it's trying to remind us, is that even though I said, oh, this is quite a naive and youthful gesture in a way, or it's not quite realised in the King and Queen sense, it's the cards are saying, don't worry about that, because what you give of generously from your heart, like the Queen of Cups here and the Knight of Cups there, I mean, 2 cups and your potential outcome and your actual outcome, and the Queen of Cups was there. And I feel like it's really pointing you to the fact that you don't need to focus on the material wealth with this work. Focus on what you want to give, what you love and want to share with the world will lead to this amazing reciprocity where you're paid fairly for your work and you pay it forward, and there's a sort of lovely virtuous circle. What a lovely reading, Cancer. Thank you so much, and Seagull people. It's lovely to start the day thinking of such great ideas, and I hope this finds you well. See you again.